So welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon and I hadn't planned to give you this video. I'd planned to do an update on the Mercedes-Benz 190e I've had for 3 years now, but during the course of making this video things escalated quite a bit. So let me bring you up to speed with what's happened and the additional work that's been undertaken. So the year started pretty much like any other. Take the battery off the trickle charger, put it back in the car and give the car a good old wash in advance of the MOT. I always feel it's good to take a clean car down to the MOT station. Whether it makes a difference or not, I'll never know, but at least I feel better doing it. Now, although I'd had some tie bars fitted a while ago, I thought it might be the right thing to do to get a full four-wheel laser alignment. So I actually did this for once, and the results showed me that it was actually worth doing. The car certainly steered better as a result of this. I also took the opportunity to upgrade the headlamp bulbs to Osram Nightbreaker 200s. Not that too expensive, and apparently all the reviews are pretty good. So actually removing the old bulbs and fitting the new ones is really easy. Just remove the washer bottle in the case of the driver's side one to give yourself better access, and it's pretty easy to unclip the cover and you've got access straight to the bulb. So the bulb itself is just retained by these spring clips. Just simply push the clips together and the bulb just swings out. And in actual fact you can do that obviously without touching it to try and make sure it's not damaged. Now the side light bulbs weren't that clever, so I took the opportunity of replacing those as well at the same time. So on side lights we can already see the car's got an immediate improvement compared to where we were before. However, on main beam, that's the biggest improvement. The Osram Nightbreaker 200s are significantly brighter than the bulbs I had in before. However, on dipped, there is a bit of a problem and I'm not quite sure what it is. I need to investigate that one a little bit further. Now at this point, one of the Facebook groups for the 190e came good for me and told me replacing this fuse would fix my problems, and guess what it did. However, not so fast, as just the day before the MOT I discovered that one of the rear light bulbs had failed. This was just simply a bulb replacement. So we're back, ready for the MOT, lights fully working and better than ever. Now next job, let's try and get through the MOT. Always a nervous day for anybody going through an MOT on a car this old. However, the Mercedes specialist I use did tell me that the car was pretty clean underneath compared to quite a few of the vehicles they see of this age, so I'll take that as a positive. The only thing I did notice looking underneath is that a couple of the drain rubbers and the jacking point rubbers were missing. I hadn't noticed that before. You can see the tie bars that I replaced probably about a year and a half ago, but underneath the car seems to be pretty free of any oil leaks. Tyres are still looking pretty good and haven't got much wear on them, and I'm quite pleased that in actual fact the car came through with another clean MOT and no advisories. Earlier in the year I'd applied to show my car in the festival of the Unexceptional Concours de l'Ordinaire. Is it possible that I might have made it through on my first attempt?
I think that's almost too cool. Mercedes-Benz, but on trims, which I actually think all Mercedes-Benz, even up to S-Class, should be on trims. Yeah. They're so nice in 2 seconds. Little cheeky slam there I've noticed as well. Not quite standard, but we'll let it go.
Well, it must be real. The email says, congratulations, I'm in. Now the work's really going to start. I'm going to have to step things up significantly. Now at this point it seems I was having some problems with the fuses again, so time for drastic action. We've lost the instrument light, so let's have a look at the fuse box. Now the fuse box, as you can see here, I'm embarrassed to say, is looking a little bit grubby in actual fact. So let's take a look at the fuses inside. Now some of these have been in there 34 years and they're not looking their best, but look closely at this one. You can see that it's actually broken and trapped under one of the other fuses. That can't be doing it any good, can it? So down to my local Mercedes dealer and I ordered a set of fuses to replace all the fuses in the box. So first job, make sure I clean the fuse holder out with some contact cleaner, which I've done here. And I actually did spot a couple of the fuses that were the wrong ampage size. So I've actually taken the opportunity to replace those as well. As mentioned elsewhere in the video, some of the drain rubbers and jacking point rubbers were missing. So I took the opportunity to order them from my local Mercedes-Benz dealer. They're not expensive and I replaced them. And in actual fact, I took the opportunity to clean out and wax the external jacking points as well, as they're a common rust point. Now, I can be accused of going too far, but in the case of the rearview mirror, hopefully I think that's justified. The glue itself has actually started to bleed out round the surface of the mirror housing, which doesn't look great. But actually more annoying is the mirror actually wobbles, so you can't really adjust it and have it stay there for the length of the journey. So time to actually replace it with a better one. Now, the mirror is an absolute doddle to get out of the car, but actually being spring loaded, it is incredibly difficult to refit the new one. But I got there in the end, thankfully, and it looks much better. Now, the years hadn't been kind to the Hirschman aerial gasket, and it looks like the rats have got at it, so that one was a justifiable replacement, I think. Now, I'm not sure what the story is with the rear three-pointed star on the boot, but it's been sprained at some point, so I took the opportunity to source a new one from my dealer again and refit it. It's a much better fit than the old one. It's rare to find a 190E that hasn't got this stress fracture around the driver's side vent. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, and I thought it was high time that I actually replaced this. Removing the central part of the vent actually started quite well, and as you can see here, it actually pulled out quite easily with a pair of narrow nose pliers. It was the surround that was going to give me the most trouble. I didn't know it at this point, but that was going to be quite difficult. So despite my best efforts of using every trim tool in the book, I simply struggled to get this part out of the dashboard. In fact, it was just a couple of clips that were holding it in that were proving to be very stubborn. So although it looks like a version of the game Kerplunk, in actual fact I did work out that these two tabs underneath are absolutely crucial to actually release that vent surround. Now, with those levered up, in actual fact the removal of it is relatively straightforward. If only I'd known that at the beginning. Now, at this point I'm disconnecting the battery because the vanity light is always live. And with the vanity light released, I can fit the new part. I've managed to find a new old stock part Mercedes still have. They are expensive, but they do fit properly. You can get some 3D printed versions, I believe, but I didn't really have the time to do that. But I think with it fitted, the end result actually looks significantly better. And using an OE part in this instance, hopefully will be the long-term benefit to the car. I've been wanting to replace the boot seal for a while, so I did take the opportunity of the preparation for the Festival of the Unexceptional to actually do that. So it doesn't look too good in places, and in actual fact I did want to buy a replacement item from Mercedes-Benz. Now, normally their pricing's pretty good, but in the case of the boot seal I did balk at paying £370, so used an aftermarket one instead. So I'm here unclipping the rear plastic panel, and from this you can then actually access and remove the boot seal itself. It's relatively easy just to pull the seal off and then lift it over the boot lid, as you can see here. Not a difficult job to do. Now, invariably one job often leads to another, as we all know. So on removing the boot seal, I've actually exposed some surface rust on the lip itself. Now, it's not too bad, so I've actually taken the opportunity to treat it now. In actual fact, I will spray body colour, although it is actually hidden from view in any case. But that's a job for later, not for today. So now chance to actually refit the seal and press the plastic panel back into place. All very straightforward, and if I do need to go in there again, I've no hesitation about doing that. So you can see, here's the finished item. I haven't quite finished cleaning the car at this stage, so excuse a bit of the dirt that's around the rear lights. But in actual fact, I'm actually pleased with that result. It's certainly a lot better than the seal we actually started with, and hopefully will prove weatherproof throughout the long winter. Now, the grille looks a little bit mottled, as you can see close up. It is possible to remove the grille insert and to paint it, but I didn't want to take the risk of either breaking the insert or not getting the paint finish that I wanted. So I used a product called Outral Polytrol, which other YouTubers have used. I'm not sponsored at all, so that's not the case. Now, I basically chose to paint the chemical, the Outral, onto the grille. Now, if you think this job looks laborious, even speeded up to 3 times normal length, it is, but look at the finish. I think you'll agree that you can see the before on the left side of the grille, and the right side shows the after treatment, and I think it was well worth it. It seems to be a good result. In the case of the door handles and, as it turned out, the bumpers, I used a product called G-Technique C4. It's hideously expensive but does appear to last a couple of years. So next up, let's turn our attention to the door cards. Now the one on the driver's side has started to actually blow and expand. This is a common problem with W201 190Es. So I actually managed to find a replacement from a breaker. I'm going to have a crack at repairing this one. But first of all, I need to actually remove the old door card. Now, I suggest you don't take guidance from this and instead use guidance from somebody more competent, or indeed a Haynes manual. But the actual removal of it was relatively straightforward. Now, on removing the door card, the moisture barrier itself doesn't look too bad. There's a few small rips in it because I think it might have been off some time ago, but in actual fact the condition's okay. I'm going to replace them because the cost of new moisture barriers from Mercedes is only about £5 each, so it seems like a worthwhile investment. Next up, remove that rubber trim at the top, and it just simply pulls out. Whilst I'm in there, I'm going to use the opportunity to use some rust preventer wax from Built Hamber and just simply squirt that into the door cavity. It all looks pretty good in there, but it seems like a worthwhile investment. So down to the Mercedes-Benz dealer, pick up the front interior door seals, of which they got in stock in a few days, and then actually refit the moisture barrier itself. So next up, I wanted to clean the door card that I'd got from the breaker vehicle, and I did take the opportunity to do this in actual fact to swap over some of the door furniture because they seem to fade at different rates. So the finished door cards seem to have come together nicely. Time to get them back onto the car. So door cards are now refitted, and I think you'll agree actually they look indistinguishable from the others with that door furniture actually swapped over. So I'm really pleased with that, and one more job off the list. So at this point, my Concours mirror hanger arrives. There's not many days to go, and there's still work to be done. Now, I did debate on removing the tow bar that's been on the vehicle since it was new. I decided against it and just did my bit to try and tidy it up a little bit. After giving 24 years of service, it did seem the right thing to do to replace the spare tyre. I didn't want to have to rely on the old one in the event we did have a puncture on the way. Now for some finishing touches. A supplier in Poland will actually give you a full set of decals for the car based on your original chassis number, so I did take the opportunity to replace some. So let's give that 3-pointed star one more polish and set the alarm for an early start. Not even 5 in the morning, I decided to stop for a coffee break. It certainly helped recharge me, given that I've got some miles still to go. A clean of the windscreen, apologies, you might not have seen too much from the first part of the journey, and then it's time to get back on the road once again. So now we've arrived at the show, it's time to dig out the waterless wash and wax and a microfiber towel and get cracking with actually cleaning the car. Fortunately, the car has managed to stay fairly dry and clean on the journey up, so it looks like you'll only need a relatively superficial clean, which is a bit of relief. I was worried it was going to actually pour it down on the day, but in actual fact it's cleaned up quite well. So we're almost there with the clean now, and despite the fact the car was driven up this morning and not brought on a trailer or covered transport, it's actually survived quite well, and I think it'll acquit itself pretty well with the Concours de l'Ordinaire. The paintwork's looking as pretty much as good as it could, as indeed is the plastic, and the overall effect I'm quite proud of. This car's probably looking the best it's looked in the last 30 years, I suspect. So with that in mind, time for a wander around the rest of the show. Had the chance to run into Johnny Smith. What a sweet guy who runs his own YouTube channel, The Late Break Show. And I picked up some useful advice for dealing with the judges. So straight into the concourse, through those hallowed gates, which I've done a number of times already, but never when my own car is actually in there. The competition is tough. There's no question that this BMW 316 is brilliantly prepared and looks like it's just come from the dealer's showroom. I'm next, one row back, and next to a beautiful De Ulanos that the guys have restored, and haven't they done a cracking job with that one. And in actual fact, I've put a few things in there like the original purchase invoice, some details about how I came to own the car, bought it blind at auction a few years ago now, and then period road tests and a brochure as well, which hopefully people will find of interest. Now there's good company in here. It's mixed as well. There's a Hilux, a Subaru Justy, a Rover 100, a Panda, and even a beautiful low mileage Carina 2 Toyota. Now the main thing about this is the setting of this car show is absolutely amazing. The sense of occasion there is brilliant. What a great place for a show.
So this gentleman here,
yes, I see
he's got himself into the concourse section.
How's that happened, Joseph?
How on earth are there two cars here together that I've actually already driven right next to each other,
right?
sir?
Only two, Joseph.
Well, there are only two in the concourse that I've driven so far.
You both, yeah,
Thank you.
really great cars. I took one of them through the worst blizzard I've ever driven in my life on the M4, and everything else was falling off, and this just cut through everything. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's
So I really enjoyed it.
really stable, quite safe before NCAP, but still very safe.
Now many of you will already know that the eventual winner was this absolutely brilliantly presented Toyota Hilux. It was apparently owned and run by a fruit farmer, so the most arduous thing it had to do is to carry around a few punnets of strawberries. But in all seriousness, it was absolutely beautiful. You can see with the mirrors underneath, it was a worthy winner. But above all, this show brings people together with a shared interest, and I'm absolutely delighted that two channel subscribers, Peter and Gary, all the way from Tasmania, stopped by to say hello. Thanks guys, you really made my day. And seemingly, that was it. The show was almost finished for 2024. It had absolutely flown by, but what a brilliant experience. I cannot wait for 2025. Like, share and subscribe. And once again, as always, thanks for watching.